Hello, everybody. My name is Matthew Moraski, and welcome back to the Director's Commentary series. This will feature two videos of mine, both filmed at the same location, and that is Woodbine Center. This mall was opened in 1985 across from the Woodbine racetrack in the Etobicoke area of Toronto. It was featured in notable movies and TV shows such as Shazam, Police Academy 4, Silent Hill Revelation, My Date with the President's Daughter, Animorphs, 8-Bit Christmas, and What We Do in the Shadows. So when it was a little more popular, it used to have big anchor stores such as Sears, Zellers, and Hudson's Bay. Now, if you notice, a common theme between those three is that they all went downhill and they are all gone. And the exact same thing is currently happening to this mall right as I speak. This place is in significant debt. It has been through ownership changes, and it is likely slated for redevelopment. Although the future is uncertain, no one knows exactly what will happen to this mall. But if I had to guess, I would imagine they're going to tear it down at some point and put up a bunch of condos in its place. But I'm not a fortune teller, so who really knows? Anyway, I just wanted to get that intro out of the way, and now I'll give you my raw thoughts. So, I filmed a lot of this video in the style you're looking at right now, which is the VHS look, because I've done it in previous videos, but I wanted to try it here because it's so nostalgic looking, and I thought it would be so fitting for this mall especially when we get into the Fantasy Fair area of the mall, which you'll see a bit later. This mall is so interesting looking, and I want to point something out. I called it a dying mall and not a dead mall. I have filmed dying malls, I have filmed dead malls. There's definitely a difference. This mall is not dead, but it is getting there. You know, if you go here, you will see people. You will see some people taking their kids, but you're not going to see a lot of people. This mall is definitely on decline, hence why I call it a dying mall. Now, we're going to get to the store. So I didn't get to film everything in this mall. This mall is actually pretty big, but I wanted to get these kind of stores. I imagine these were some of the old anchor stores, and you can see what they are now. They've turned them into these, I would say, discount stores. I mean, they're trying to sell everything. Like, things are like 90% off in these stores. There's like no one in here. They're dirty. Like, look at the ceilings. They're basically falling apart. You know, this is like the ugly part of the mall. There are nicer areas than this, as you will see. I also, when I edited this video, I put in, all the audio is public domain stuff. For this store, I remember I used an audio recording of Winston Churchill. I think it was some speech he gave. I don't know. I just thought it was fitting. If you think it's that deep, it's really not, but I couldn't play the actual audio when I was in the store, which I would love to do because they were playing the radio. I can't remember like what songs, but they were playing the radio, so obviously the music, I can't have it in the video because it's copyrighted, but you should have heard it. The way it was coming out of these speakers, oh my god, let me pause. I love this shot. I really wanted to show this indigenous person how he's feeling about what the land has become, a store like this. But anyway, back to the speakers. Yeah, the speakers were all broken basically in this store, so they're coming out very distorted, and obviously I couldn't use the audio for that, but oh my god, I would have loved to. So what I did, I took this clip of Winston Churchill talking and I just tried to replicate it. I distorted the audio, made it sound very very broken, and it was already very old anyway. But yeah, so the audio you hear in the original video And if you haven't seen the original video, well, go back and watch it and you can hear what I mean. But yeah, I just wanted to replicate what it sounded like, and I think I did a pretty good job. So if you guys wanted to know, there you go. So we come back out to this. These main areas are really nice. You know, they're not falling apart like that, but there's so many empty stores in this mall. I don't know the exact number of stores, but there's so many vacant stores, or stores are just dying. I mean, look at this fountain. I'm sure that was a really nice fountain at some point. I say that like I've never been here before. I did actually used to go to this mall when I was a kid. At least a few times, I just don't really remember it. When I filmed this video, it was about 9 months ago. That was the first time I've been to this mall in years. So it was probably very different. Now, the second video you'll see in this director's commentary was also filmed here. That's the dying store. It's pretty similar to the one we just saw before. I didn't mention it was filmed at this mall when I made that video, but now you know. And then I also went back a third time, which I didn't film anything. I did take a couple pictures, so if you want to see those, stay to the end of the video. I have a little bonus footage for you. Now we're going to get to the Fantasy Fair, which is easily the most popular area of the mall. And look, you're going to see why. I mean, you could probably already see why. This Ferris wheel might not be in operation, although there are a lot of rides that are. You can see one up there. There's also like a little roller coaster. I think there's a little boat ride. There's all these dinosaurs. There's like play places. It's actually a great place to bring kids, and I think that's what a lot of people go there for. But I got to imagine back in the day, a lot more people went here than now, because there's still people, but it's not that busy. And you can see some areas like that are just closed off. There's no one there. But this whole area is really fun. There are actually more people than you see in this video. I just try to avoid filming people for multiple reasons. I don't have their consent. I don't really want to film them if I can avoid it, but also it just looks better. Oh yeah, you see this? So this whole area has all these rides and all this fun stuff. But then there's all these little shops that are just empty around it. It's actually a pretty fun, stark contrast. But yeah, if there's one area of the mall where there's people, it's this area. And it's kind of sad that they're going to get rid of this probably, because it's honestly so cool. I mean, as a kid, I must have loved this. What a fun area. I don't know what it is about buildings, inside of buildings. Like mock towns. I really love mock towns. Maybe that's just because of the uncanniness of it all. The bright colors, the artificial look. But I find them so fun. And I know they're cheesy. They're really cheesy. But they're so fun. You can also tell that this mall is pretty old because of all the payphones in it. There are actually so many payphones in this mall. But I think this mall has a lot of charm to it. It's not the most outdated looking of malls. I love outdated malls, so that's not a compliment. But I hate modern malls. Like this place has charm. Modern malls have nothing, and I'm not going to get started on it because I'm just going to rant. But I love this shot. Business solutions available here. I'm sure that like 80% of the stores in this place could use that advice. They should probably help them out. Although I would say maybe too little too late. I always love when they leave mannequins too. There's always a mannequin left behind. I'm not sure if that store there is permanently closed. These ones obviously are. You can see they have Christmas decorations too. There's always Christmas decorations left around. I love that store too. It's a very liminal looking store. But we are reaching the end of the first video. No, we have reached the end of the first video. And we're going to move on to the second one. So, this one featured a store. I didn't go into the store the first time, but the second time I was like, oh my god, I gotta film this too, because this store is so depressing looking. I mean, it's just sad. It's very similar in a way to that first one we saw earlier. The shop one, whatever it was called. It's just kind of the same vibe where it's just boxes everywhere. It's full of junk. Oh god, I love that rhino. The woolly rhino. So you know there's like dinosaurs in the fairground area or whatever it's called. This must have been a part of that, and they just took it out, I guess. And then they just put it in this store. Because it seems like they just use this for storage, if anything, but they are selling stuff. But like I said, most of it's junk. Most of it is unnecessary junk that God knows where it will be if not bought. I think these type of stores kind of just show how wasteful we are. I also love this sign, not in use. You know, I thought that was pretty obvious, that it was blocked off, that, yeah, maybe the elevator's not in use, but I don't know, they had to make sure people knew that. I would have really loved to have walked back there, but that's employees only. Although, I'm going to be honest, I barely saw any employees here. Maybe I saw one? I don't even know if the employees, like, have a uniform or anything. Because, like, what is this? It's just a store of boxes. And look at the ceiling. Now, also what I mentioned about the earlier store with the audio. It was kind of the same vibe here. There was a radio playing, but I couldn't use the audio from it, obviously, because it's all copyrighted. So I just tried to replicate it by using some like random public domain clips. And I think you get the idea. The speakers are terrible in this place. It's really surreal, honestly. You just kind of have to be in it to get the vibe. Although, I will say, in defense of this store, it did have better lighting than the previous one. You know, less of the lights were burnt out. And I think less of the ceiling tiles were falling out. So, props to them. And that's about all I can say that's good about this store. I mean, look at the back rooms here. You have carts, you have chairs, you have all kinds of random furniture, you have more boxes, you have mirrors in some places, and they're all just stuffed there with no purpose or anything like that. It's honestly so ugly, and they don't care. I mean, look at this shot coming up right here, right? Looking into this back room, it looks like a horror movie. It looks like a horror movie. It's horrible. Yeah, these stores are just... They're an eyesore, to say the least. And look at that door. I mean, like, what is going on? As I was saying earlier, though, I think stores like this are pretty reflective of how wasteful we are. Because, let's face it, this stuff, maybe not all of it, but a high majority of the stuff in here is junk. Although it's 90% off. So, if you want a good bargain, guys, this might be your place to go. You probably won't find what you're looking for. Oh my god, I love this shot. I know a lot of people will watch that and cringe because I put my finger in a bunch of that dust. Guys, I will do just about anything for a shot. You know, I'll go to a farm, an abandoned farm at like 3 a.m. for, you know, just to make a video. So putting my finger in a little bit of dust, that's not really too much of a concern of mine. You know, to me, I just want to get a good shot, you know. And speaking of a good shot, I love this shot coming up right here of this flickering light. I saw that and I was like, yep, 100% need to get a shot of that. I'm honestly surprised I didn't see more, because so many of these lights, the speakers, so much stuff in here, it's just not working. It's falling apart. Most of the mall is fine. Most of the mall is not, you know, they've had to do renovations, I know, but these stores are rough, and oh my god. Yeah, I don't know who designed that and thought that was a good idea for a label, because I think it looks terrifying. I don't, like, who wants to buy that? Who sees that and is like, yep, I want that. I want that product. I want to look just like that person on the cover. Yeah. And then here's more of that junk too in the back. Like, how old is that cart? Okay, so I talked about the sights, I talked about the sounds, but I have not talked about how this place smells. So let's talk about that. Okay, how do I describe this? This place smells how it looks. Does that make sense? It's very musty. Okay, I also said a lot of the stuff in here was junk, but not everything. This is what I mean. Look at these chandeliers. I have no idea why those are there. And yeah, they don't sweep, by the way. You can see the floors are just covered in stuff. But we have reached the end of the video, and I did say that if you stay to the end, I would show you a couple photos of mine that I took. So, here they are. And I think they're very telling. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. And I'll see you in the next one.